Hi friends, welcome back. Today we are making something like Labo's Santal 33. This fragrance was released in 2011. It was perfumed by Frank Vocal. And this stuff smells amazing. Santal 33 smells amazing. I have not smelled what we are about to make, but I love the vibe of Santal 33. This formula, looking at the structure of it, it doesn't seem like there's much to look at. We see a bunch of woody notes, some musk, and then each of these other colors here is a fragrance family that's accounted for in the formula, but there's only small amounts. If we actually look at the formula itself, boy, 60% is an ISO-E super, 13% is an ethylene brassylate, 3% ionone beta, 2.5% ambroxan, and a partridge in a pear tree. So let's start putting this together. What I want to do is I want to start with the woody base, and then we can add the musks and the sweet notes and start building from there. First thing we're going to do is add our ethanol. What I'm making today is just over 40 grams. The end concentrate will be 18%. I don't know if the actual concentrate for Santal 33 is 20%, 15, I don't know where it's at, but I figured it's an eau de parfum. Why not do 18? That sounds about right. So 18% concentrate. We're going to start with our ethanol because I'm going to add in all of the ISO-E super as the first ingredient. All right, almost done here. It's okay if I overdo the ethanol a little bit. A touch will evaporate as we go through this. Not much to affect the outcome, but just a little. Okay. We're good there. Put the lid back on. Now, let us begin. We're going to start with the ISO-E super. I'm using this neat. I have three other materials that I'm using at a greater than 10% dilution. But the ISO-E super is neat. And I love watching it fall into the ethanol. Just sink to the bottom because it's so heavy. All right, now in this particular batch, there's going to be 4.5 grams of ISO-E super. Okay. Guess I got one more pipette. Jeez, just doesn't stop. Okay. Last pipette. Wonderful. Wonderful. We are done. Okay, set it off to the side. Let's continue. Let's continue with the soft woody notes, and then we'll move into the more characterful. What's the word? The woody notes with more personality. Let's start with our sandalwood from Australia. To my nose, this is a little more perceivable than Mysore sandalwood. Don't know why, but my nose can just pick this up a little bit more easily. It's still that nice sandalwood note where it's soft, it's a little milky, it's a little sweet, but I can actually smell it, which is nice. Next, we're going to continue with the sandalwood notes. We have Bactinol. If you're just getting into perfumery, I would really recommend that you pick up Bactinol. Bactinol or Ebinol. I suppose you can use them interchangeably as a beginner. But it is a beautiful sandalwood note. Okay, we got it. Next, Javanol. definitely a little bit stronger. And I've always picked up a rose note, a floral rose note from Javanol. Definitely sandalwoody, but I love that floral aspect. Next we have Amyris wood, otherwise sometimes known as West Indian sandalwood. It is soft. It is also a little milky. It's missing a little bit of the sweetness that sandalwood has, but I call this the poor man's sandalwood. I don't know if anyone else calls it that, but that's what I call it, because it has similarities to sandalwood, but it's not nearly as expensive. One more. Okay. Wonderful. I've got 3 more. Now to the more personality wood materials. We have cypriol. Fair bit of cypriol. Cypriol is often used in oud accords. It does have an oudy nature. There's a smokiness to it. There's a woodiness to it. To my nose, I say that a lot. To my nose, there is a tea note. I always pick up this woody transparency that I liken to tea. Okay. We are good. I have a cypriol heart material, and when I first smelled it, I thought I mixed up my bottles because it smelled so much like vetiver, which was interesting. Next up, Gaiac wood. Gaiac wood also has that woody transparent quality, but it's much more smoky. And by smoky, I mean the smell of burnt wood, like the smell of campfire. Because incense smoke or cigarette smoke smells different than campfire smoke. So whenever I say smoky, that's what I mean, campfire smoke. And then last but not least, just a touch of gurgeon balsam. I'd say more woody than it is balsamic, so don't be fooled by the name of gurgeon balsam. But it's a lovely material nonetheless. Okay, get a little mix. Ooh, look at that. Look at that cloud up for a minute. All right. We are good. Put that away. Let's dip. All right, and then we'll write our woody base, number 1. Okay, let's continue with the other base notes, particularly the musks. We're going to start with our ethylene brassylate. This is neat. Again, this is 13% of the concentrate. Don't want to get a full pipette in here because it's heavy, it's thicker stuff, so it can stick in there. This is such a versatile musk. Versatile musk. How do you say it? Versatile? Versatile? Cool. Yeah, I think I can clean up the inside of the pipette and we'll be right on target. Oh, perfect. I love it when it works out like that. All right. Next, let's do our cashmere. No, let's do our ambretolide. We'll kind of move in alphabetical order. Okay. Ambretolide. 3% of the concentrate is in ambretolide. might be a bit softer and warmer ambretylide than ethylene brassylate. This musk, this molecule, is found in ambret seed. Fun fact for you. Good. Next up, cashmerin. Now, I always hesitate to put cashmerin with the rest of the musks because it's so much stronger than the other musks. It pops more than the other musks. It's got an edge to it that just helps cut through a fragrance. But I have it in my musks fragrance family. That's how I have it categorized in my system. So the path of least resistance is to just include it here. Oh yeah, I can smell it from the bottle. Next up, helvetolide. Okay, another wonderful, versatile musk. Fantastic. Okay, let's continue. Hexadecanolide. Okay, also known as juniper lactone. It's musky, but there's more of a lactonic quality to this particular musk. I think this will play nicely and provide a nice bridge into the materials we have coming up. Lactones. We're going to start with gamma decalactone. Okay. It's fruity, it's milky, it's sweet. If you don't have gamma decalactone, I don't think there's an issue using something like gamma undecalactone or gamma nonylactone, i.e. aldehyde C14, aldehyde C18. I don't know. Just make sure you have like one of those, the gamma something lactone. Just have one of those, whatever. We'll be fine. If this is a spot-on replica of Santal 33, swapping out the lactones is not going to be a big enough game changer for it to ruin the fragrance. It might shift the accuracy from, again, if this was spot on, from 100 to 99 or 98%, but it's not going to be something that completely ruins the fragrance, that kind of swap. So don't sweat it. Next up is methyl litone. This is a strong material. I'm throwing it in here at 1%, but it is milky. It is sweet and lactonic. It's a great material. So great, I need to buy more of it. Okay. We have 3 more for this group. Let's do our vanillin. Keeping it sweet. Now there's just a little bit of vanillin here. And whenever I see a little bit of vanillin, I think to myself, we're not trying to use vanillin as a note that you recognize. A sweet, gourmand, vanilla ice cream note. We're using it to build out the warmth and sweetness, the breadth of a base. We may be using it to help with, with a little bit of the projection, but not as a core note in and of itself. Next up, muscanone. We're going back to the musks. Definitely more of an animalic musk rather than a sweet metallic musk. Though it is sweet, it does have that warm musk, white musk feel at the center. At the edges of muscanone is like a wet fur smell, but it's very cozy. Next and last in this group, ambroxan. I really like the ambroxan made by Kao, K-A-O. I was using Ambrox Super the other day, and I finally smelled that marine note that is listed as a description of what ambroxide smells like. I had yet to smell that, but so I don't know if Ambrox Super has more of a marine quality to it, and Ambroxan has more of a amber, aspect to it, amber note to it. I'm not sure. I have to do more testing, but I did think that was interesting. It was the first time I had ever smelled that. Okay, let's mix this. Good. Let's just write down, this was our sweet notes number 2. Wonderful. Let's keep trucking. Next, we are going to do florals. We're going to start with our, call it white florals. These are the jasmine / lily of the valley notes. First up is Hedione HC. This is throwing out of the bottle already. Okay. Good stuff. Next, Flor Hydral. I rarely use this. I use this so infrequently, I'm actually not very good at saying what this smells like compared to the other lily of the valley materials like Lilial and Liral. I mean, to my nose, it's still muguet, it's still light, airy, it's fresh, it's a little green. It's transparent, it's uplifting, just like all of the other ones. So clearly need to do more testing. Now, this is projecting much more out of the bottle than I'm used to getting from, say, Lilial or Liral projecting out of the bottle. So that's interesting. Noted. Next, Floral. This is much sweeter than the Flor Hydral that we just used. It's a little bit more dense. Still transparent, but just a little more consolidated, concentrated at the core of my nose. Okay, next up, Cis Jasmone. Now, I love this for the mushroom celery note that I get in here. Now there's only a little, perhaps a drop. Yeah, that'll be enough. I've got 3 more. Methyl jasminate, otherwise known, some brand names are Splendione or Jasminage. This is a lot like Hedione, but it's insanely expensive. Insanely expensive. Luckily, it is not used that often. In fact, I don't know why this is used. I would like to smell this formula when it's finished without methyl jasminate and with methyl jasminate and do an A/B test. Okay, 2 more. We're going to do Melanal before we do the final one. Now, this isn't a floral lily of the valley jasmine note. However, It is transparent. It is uplifting. It has, it's fruity. It's a little melon. It's a little green and cucumber, but it has a similar, I'd say a similar effect on the fragrance in that it provides this uplifting, opening transparency. So we're going to include it with its muguet friends. We have one more that I'm excited about. Recently a Givaudan captive until this year, Nymphéal. This stuff is strong. Lily of the Valley note, this stuff pops. Yeah, it pops. Okay. And it lasts a long time. Interesting that you have something that is so strong, but also lasts a very long time. Doesn't happen often. Let's give this a mix. Okay. We'll dip, and I will run that right. Next, we are going to move to our second floral family, the ionones, the violet notes. Included are a little bit of rose. We're going to have geraniol and phenoxyl. Let's start with the geraniol. Yeah, love geraniol. It's a lot like citronellol, but it's a bit more green. It's got this green shine to it. Okay, good. Next up, phenylhexanol, otherwise known as phenoxyl. I really like this stuff. I've got a blotter right over there that I dipped on September 19th at 2 p.m. I'm recording this October 9th, so we're like day 20. A 10% dilution of this stuff, just a centimeter dip, I can still smell it. 20 days later, I can still smell this beautiful rosy note on that blotter. Smells great. Absolutely wonderful. So I'm hoping that with the geraniol, the phenylhexanol will help take all of our violet notes and just settle them down a little bit, give them a bit more roundness, give them a bit more of a rosy feel, because, you know, that's what they smell like. Let's move into the violet notes. We're going to start with Ionone Alpha. There's only a little bit here. Just a couple drops. Whew, this stuff is strong. Another material we're using, and the final material that we're using at 100% strength, beta ionone. 3% of the concentrate is in beta ionone. Okay, come on, I do not want to drop that liner. Good. It's violety, it's floral, it's woody. It has this nice clarity to it, this like pure tone. You know, when I smell something like citronellol or citral, I almost get this feeling of like fuzz. Like there's a fuzz in my nose, there's a zing. I don't get that when I smell the ionones. It's a very pure tone, which I really appreciate. I really enjoy. Next up, Irone Alpha. It's almost as if we're trying to give it a little orris butter vibe, but we don't want to use orris butter. Just a few drops here. Good. 2 more. Methyl ionone gamma, otherwise known as alpha isomethyl ionone. And again, not much. That ionone beta took up the lion's share of our violet note. I'm guessing everything else here. quick side note, the methyl gamma. Boy, you combine it with benzoin, and I get this root beer accord or Coca-Cola accord. It just smells like cola. But I'm guessing, you know, the center of our violet note is the ionone beta, and then everything else that we're adding here is just for nuance. It's to give a little more complexity, something to give our subconscious something to enjoy. Or maybe it's even our conscious mind's something to enjoy. I'm adding Vertinex here. If you don't have Vertinex, there's another product called Lauricia, I think. I do believe you can use that. Yes, okay. Whew. It smells good. It's coming out of the beaker here. I can smell things coming out of the beaker. And then we will have just 2 more groups. So let's write down violet number 4. When I dip, you dip, we dip. Good. Next, let's get into our aromatic notes. I'm going to call this group Edge, because in here, not only do we have the aromatic notes, which again, to me, provide an edge. They provide a little color at the edge of our core perfume or our core fragrance. But included in this edge group, I've got suederal, I've got cistus, I've got cardamom, I've got sulfurol. I actually don't know what this smells like, so we're going to find out. I have got rosemary, eucalyptol, you know, carrot seed, and undecaveritol. This is probably the most unexciting material, the undecaveritol. So let's do this one first. This is a real green note. And now that I'm thinking of it, the quality of undecaveritol, the quality of it, I should have included it with the Lily of the Valley notes because it has that light, cucumbery, transparent vibe to it. So probably mixing this in with the wrong group, but that's okay. You live and learn. Just a little more. I undershot that a little bit. Okay. Wonderful. Now, let's do our suederal. There's only a little bit. Only a little bit. And I've noticed if you don't add much suederal or much pyrrolone or any of those leather notes like that, it's barely noticeable. This is one of those notes that adds complexity almost at a subconscious level or at a level where we can't really tell what's going on, but we know we just like it better for some reason. Now the cistus. Now cistus to me it's a mix of labdanum and gasoline leather. That's what cistus is like in my nose. And I've smelled many different kinds of cistus or many different qualities of cistus from many different companies. And that just is what comes to mind almost every time. Labdanum, leather, and gasoline. Okay. Let's hit the carrot seed. Now, carrot seed has an herbal opening. Interestingly, what your carrot seed smells like depends heavily on which country in which it was produced. So, if you have 2 different carrot seeds from 2 different countries and they smell a little bit different, don't freak out. It happens. Next up, eucalyptus. eucalyptus. Definitely a bright top note. I love the smell of eucalyptus trees. Absolutely wonderful smell. Every time I'm in California, whether it be Northern California, Southern California, mostly Northern California, the smell of eucalyptus is just right there. Okay, next up, rosemary. I believe rosemary also has 1,8-cineol in it, or eucalyptol. I may be making that up, but in my head, I associate these two materials. They both have a fresh dirtiness to them. And if you smell eucalyptol all on its own, it's kind of what it's like. It's like a fresh dirtiness. Okay. Next up, cardamom. Beautiful, cool spice. Yeah. I like the woodiness that's in cardamom. It has this fresh spiciness. Ooh, you hear that? Gotta make a new one. I like the fresh spiciness that's in cardamom, but I also appreciate that rich woodiness that's in there as well. And luckily, we have just enough. Now, last but not least, sulfurol. Let's see the description. Fatty, cooked, beef juice. I know exactly what this smells like. Sulfurol smells like beef stew. If you're cooking stew in a slow cooker and you open it up, you get that juicy, juicy beef. That's what sulfurol smells like. Come on, give it to me. Let me smell this. I remember making the dilution of this, and this was my first. This is gourmand at a different level, not like sweet gourmand. This just smells like food. I'm gonna let that breathe. Okay, let's get it in here. This feels so appropriate for this kind of fragrance because remember, every fragrance needs something a little funky. It needs something a little weird, rich, animalic, dirty. It needs something. And I feel like this fits in great. Interestingly, I'm not picking up anything off of this strip. And my brain remembers this. I'm just looking at my notes. My brain remembers this as being quite strong, which is why I have it at a 1% dilution. I may have to reevaluate this one. Okay, we added our sulfurol. We're going to mix. We're going to dip. Okay. I'm going to call this edge because we didn't just put in aromatic notes. We put in some spicy notes. We put in some leather notes, some labdanum, some amber notes, smoky amber. But finally, this last group is simple and straightforward. This is citrus. And we're going to start with bergamot. Remember, it takes so much bergamot, or citrus in general, to have an effect on a formula. We are not adding much citrus at all. I'd say the most interesting thing we are adding is noatkatone. I hope I'm saying that correctly, noatkatone. Noatkatone is a molecule that is inside of grapefruit. Let's throw it in there. I actually have to keep this in the fridge. I keep the dilution in the fridge. Not only do I keep the concentrate, even though it comes as a solid, I keep that in the fridge. What I do to make it easy is I immediately dilute it to 50%, and then throw it in the fridge. All right, 2 more. Let's see. Let's see. If you don't have this, maybe use red mandarin or yellow mandarin. Lemon might be a little too bright. It smells like lemon, but if you had a lot more citral in it. Because it's got that warm fuzziness that I associate with citral. It still has a limonene, still has that zing to it, but it's tamed. It's toned down by the warm fuzziness. Now, last but not least, there's only a couple drops of methyl pamplemousse. Methyl pamplemousse is just a wonderful material. Really enjoy it. Love the effect it has on a fragrance. Now, alas, there's not much in here. So I don't know what effect it's going to have. Maybe not much, which is okay, but you know. All right, friends. Let's dip and let's evaluate. First, we had our woody base, all the isoe super, the sandalwoods, but then also the interesting stuff like the cypriol, the guaiac wood, the gurchin balsam. Interesting that I can pick up the cypriol. I'm getting the warm sandalwood, the beautiful warm sandalwood vibe from the sandalwoods, the amyris wood, and the isoe super. But what is coming through, what's saying hi, is the cypriol. That's so interesting. Getting a little bit of the smokiness as well from the guaiac wood, from the cypriol itself. That's also interesting. Okay. Now we added all the sweet notes. Now this included gamma-decolactone and methyl lightone. We had a little bit of vanilla. We also had the ambroxan. And then muscanone, all the musks, ethylene brassylate, ambretolide, helvetolide. What else did we miss? Cashmeran. Let's see what it smells like. Now this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. The methyl lightone. Oh, this is lovely. Even on its own, this is lovely. I'm getting the sweetness. I'm getting the roundness from the musks, but the methyl lightone is coming in. Making itself known. Next up, we added all the jasmine and lily of the valley notes. Now, this included melanow. All right, so we had one oddball in this. And what a beautiful compliment to what we just smelled. The ratios, the blending here is already fantastic. It definitely moves it in a floral direction, in a muguet, lily of the valley, jasmine-like direction. Jasmine without the indole, clean jasmine, but it's more transparent. It's more uplifting. It's more lively. This is great. This is great. Next up, we added all the violet notes, including a little geraniol and phenylhexanol. Oh, interesting. This just gives our the floral quality more body. It's a clear body. It's like like I say, a pure tone that is violet. I'm not getting a lot of fuzziness from the rose. I'm not getting the rich, narcotic, animalic vibe that's like ylang or jasmine. Again, each stage is good on its own. We've got 2 more strips to do. That's good on its own. Wow. Next, we added the edge notes. Now these are the aromatic notes, like the carrot seed, the eucalyptus, the rosemary, but we also added suederol for a little leather, cistus for another little leather and a little amber. We added cardamom and sulfurol. This adds just a hint of color. A hint of color to our clear, transparent, uplifting, floral, sweet, milky floral that we have underneath. Yeah, barely noticeable, but the difference between this, which is without all these edge notes, and then this is my brain just telling me, yeah, I like this one better. I can't probably say why, but something about it, I like this one better. It's just a little more complex. And last, we added all of the citrus notes, and there wasn't much citrus. So let's see the effect. You know what? Let me just dip it one more time to get a fresh thing. And while this is drying, why don't I put a little on my skin? Okay. That back. Spread it around. Let that dry. Yeah, it's barely noticeable. All that citrus, it's barely noticeable. It's still adding something, just a little shine to the edge of the fragrance. Our fragrance core is the sweet, milky, floral, sweet, milky, transparent floral. And then we added a little bit of herbal quality to just give it some color. And then we added a little shine on top of that color with our citrus notes. But the core of it, the meat and potatoes, is still that beautiful. Oh my gosh. Now, this smells more feminine than I remember Santal 33 being. Now, that said, this smells very good. Let me smell my hand. I'm definitely getting the lactones and the methyl-litone. That's still front and center. Whenever I put something on my skin, it always tones down that shiny edge, that herbal edge. That always gets muffled a little bit. Smells good on the skin. Now, of course, we're going to let this mature. I'm going to put it in a bottle and we'll let it mature. I'll give it a month before I try it again. I'll probably give it 2 or 3 months before I tell you how it turned out, because that's the kind of schedule I'm on. So whip this up. I think this smells very good. Very good. Give it a try. Make some replacements if you have to. Just remember, share with the class what replacements you did. And I'll see you next time.